Thank you. Raise your hand if you've ever watched television. But have you ever found yourself in this situation where you're watching television, but there's someone else in the room with you, and they've got hold of the remote control, and they keep pressing the buttons and changing the channel, and it's just so infuriating, isn't it? But just imagine if that remote control was your life, and someone else was pressing the buttons that control your life. Unfortunately, it's a situation that I happen to know a great deal about. Come with me. It's August 2009. I'm standing in front of the bay window. The sun's blazing in. In fact, I can feel the trickle of sweat down my neck, even though it's not midday. Wow, it's going to be a hot one. In the garden beyond, I can hear that chirrup of insects and the twitter of birds. There's a cricket pitch at the end of the garden, and there's a game going on. I can hear the excited cries of the players. How do they say it? That thwack of leather on willer. They're just relaxing sounds, summer sounds, normal sounds, not like this churning that I've got right inside of me. He's in the room. He's standing there, his shoulders framing the doorway. Why is he standing there like that? It's making me feel trapped. I want to run and push past him and just run and keep on running. I want to march right up to him and yell in his face, "Get out of my house! Get out of my life!" But I daren't. I just stand as if I'm frozen. My face is expressionless and my eyes blank. Because you learn to do that over the years. Not to let your emotion show on your face. It's like you learn to take up a smaller and smaller space inside your own life. Have you ever felt so disgusted with someone that you can't even bear to look at them? That's how I feel. And it's like I've got to force my head around and force my eyes to look up into his face. That face. That I once considered so handsome. A George Clooney look-alike. Do you know what I see now when I look in that face? All I see is the hurt and the pain that he has caused. It's like I'm looking into the eyes of some monstrous alien bug being. Now, how can I stop my lip from just curling in disgust? And I look at him now. Look at that face. All sweetness and light. Would you believe that not 24 hours earlier, that face was so contorted with rage, and his words were coming out like they were on foaming beds of spittle? You want me out of this house? I'll make sure this house is a wreck by the time I leave. I'll ruin your reputation. I'll make sure you lose your job. Your ugly witch face will be on every paper in the land. And do you know why? Because For once, I stood up for myself. For once, I made it clear to him that he had to leave my house. And now, he's standing there and looking at me with puppy dog eyes. Darling? How dare he use that word? How dare he, after all the pain and hurt he's caused? I feel like I want to throw up an invisible force field and stop that word from reaching me. Isn't that the worst bit? When they use love to manipulate you. Darling, I just got off the phone from the estate agent. I'm afraid they won't let me sign the agreement unless I have someone to act as my guarantor. Otherwise, I just can't take that flat. Someone? Someone? He means me. He thinks I'm going to sign that agreement and act as his guarantor. But what if I don't sign? Then he'll make sure I know it's my fault that he can't leave. And how will I ever get rid of him? But what if I do sign? It means I'm going to be liable for his debts. You can be quite certain that he won't pay his rent, and he'll bleed me dry. What shall I do? What shall I do? What would you do? But wait, I'm suddenly getting this strange sensation. It's like I can feel this word, yes, coming up inside, and I want to just stop it inside my throat and stop it from coming out. But here's the strange thing. It's not because of any fear of him. I realize it's me. Whenever someone stands in front of me and says, Ruth, I need your help, I say, yes, of course I'll help. And in that moment, I feel like there's a great hand stretching down from the universe, and it's reaching right down inside me, and it's grabbed my guts and gone, ugh! And I don't know how it is that I'm still standing. I don't know why the force of that sensation hasn't doubled me over and left me lying on the floor. But here's the important thing. What I realize in that moment is my battle is not with him. My battle is with me. It was Buddha who said, it does not matter if you win 1,000 battles. The greatest conquest is of yourself. For then the victory is truly yours, and none can take it from you. Well, yes, that makes perfect sense, but how do you do that? How do you go about conquering yourself? Now, at the time that this happened, I was a head teacher of a challenging and large inner-city primary school. I faced challenging situations every day. I helped the people within that community to make better decisions about the way that they were leading their lives. And not only that, I was also a qualified life coach. I knew a great deal about self-development. In fact, just imagine, come here, look, imagine this is my bookcase. Look, all the classics are there. This is a bookcase that is positively groaning with wisdom and knowledge. what am I doing with that wisdom and knowledge? Well, it's like I'm wearing it round like a hat on my head, imagining that's going to make a difference. Look, check it out. Can you see, round the brim, 7 habits. That's got to make me a highly effective person, hasn't it? Oh, look, check out the ribbon down the back. Napoleon Hill. All I've got to do is think, and I'll grow rich. Oh, and I bet you'll never guess where I've hidden the secret. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever known what it is that you should do, but somehow you don't do it? No, you wouldn't do that, would you? That's just me. But it's like this. Put it this way. Imagine your goal was to lose weight. And you're walking around saying, well, you know what? I've read all the books there are on losing weight. I know everything there is to know about losing weight. So any minute now, I'm going to be a size 0. Well, of course, it doesn't happen like that. And sometimes you have to learn your lesson a much harder way. There's something I haven't told you. On that day, back in August, did I sign that paper? Well, I have to tell you, I didn't sign the paper. And he left my house. But I did pay a price, because just a day or so later, my body started showing the symptoms of a very serious stress-related illness. But I was just carrying on as if nothing had happened. Being head teacher, running a challenging school, trying to do everything and be everything. But it was like I was being fed into a giant shredding machine. I was coming apart. And in January 2010, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. I had drips going into everything. I had a tube going down my nose and into my stomach. I could barely lift my head from the pillow. You know, sometimes you're sort of thinking to yourself, whoa, is this it? Is this where it ends? Let me ask you this. Have you ever been given a warning sign, but you took no notice of it? Aren't you very lucky if you get given a second chance? And as I'm lying there in my hospital bed, once again, I can see that hand stretching down, this time pointing right at me in my hospital bed. Ruth, this is the universe here, and I need to have another word with you. Well, if you are lucky enough that life gives you a second chance, my goodness, you better make the most of it. I had to make some very radical decisions while I was lying there in that hospital bed. And when I left hospital, I had to relearn how to walk. I had to relearn how to eat. But most importantly, I had to relearn how to be Ruth Driscoll.